It's the worst of the CBC for October 28th, 2019, the show where I watch the CBC so you do not have to. Today's episode is on the Caliphate Broadcasting Corporation. Now, we learned a couple things today, or I did, and I'm going to relate to you. One, who does the media hate more, Donald Trump or a bunch of murderous, rapey terrorists? And the answer is Donald Trump. There's a famous interview on CNN where, Ben Shapiro turns and said if Hamas had a media operation, it would be CNN. And I think we've learned today that if there's no point, ISIS doesn't need its own terrorist network. They have the mainstream media. They have the CBC doing their work for them. Now, most of the CBC was just utterly banal today, focusing on issues that no one cares about. There's fires in California, some panic over Doug Ford, non-specific panic over Doug Ford. Just I can't even remember the coverage because it was so boring. They didn't really cover anything. There was just an undertone. Doug Ford is bad. There's a musical coming to Toronto. Today outlined the need for a alternative media in Canada. But let's go back to what we did notice is, there's one point where the anchor just gets on, and they're talking about Baghdadi being killed, and they spent about 3 minutes, sort of in the middle of it, trying to debunk Trump's claim that he died like a cowardly dog. So Trump had the line where he died whimpering and cowardly, screaming and crying and running away, and blew himself up in a tunnel. So we do know that Baghdadi blew himself up in a tunnel, killing 3 of his own children. Seems like a pretty despicable, cowardly act to do, to take your own kids hostage and then blow yourself up. That weighs on it. Was he screaming and crying? Who knows? But what they were saying is, he was looking at the drone footage. We think he was looking at the drone footage, so he couldn't have known this. He wasn't looking at the body cam footage. Maybe his special operations told him. Maybe he read a report. Maybe he did eventually see that body cam footage. This is all unconfirmed reports. And let's just say it's true, and Trump was just saying this as a propaganda tool. Why are you trying to undermine anti-ISIS propaganda? Why? You have no evidence, so you're just speculating. This is speculation at the point. Speculation off of maybe an unconfirmed source, like the camera guy for the White House, who probably isn't the other security briefings. You're saying, no, he actually died. We don't know if he died a coward. Baghdadi could have been the bravest man possible, right? An austere religious scholar of Islam. This shows the difference between, Trump and other politicians on this matter, right? When bin Laden was killed, and, good on Obama for not going through the Pakistanis and authorizing the raid. It was a ballsy move on Obama's part. Good on him for killing Osama bin Laden. But then afterwards, saying, we gave him the utmost respect. We said a prayer and buried him at sea in accordance with Islamic traditions. La la la. Right? That's one thing. America respects. But this is not how this part of the world works. This part of the world works is like your terrorist leader was a little bitch and we killed him. And then he blew himself up in little pieces like a coward and a dog. He got his ass whooped. That actually does more to damage, the terrorist movement than Obama's, kumbaya with bin Laden. So it was really interesting to watch just the amount of sort of undermining the sort of victory of getting Baghdadi and sort of trying to play this as like a bad thing for some. It was really weird. A lot of today was just very boring. It didn't focus on any issues that are important in Canada, which is the other reason. So we need So the biggest omission, there's so many omissions, like Western alienation. What's the biggest omission today is everything that was relevant. Western alienation. Do you remember when that pedophile island guy didn't kill himself and we all pretended like he did? Epstein, Trudeau's corruption scandals, anything that you think is important wasn't covered on the news today. Which means, so I've been trying to start, I've been trying to start independent media in Canada for a couple of years, but I've realized what I'm doing really isn't enough at this point, and I'm going to sort of make an appeal. I really don't like to do this. I feel really uncomfortable doing this, but I'm going to appeal to people. If you want to support this channel, I'm going to ask you to donate to the Patreon or set up a PayPal, because what we need in Canada is we really need a conservative voice. We need it consistently. One, to fight our cultural battles, get them into the public conversation. Two, you look at America, and, if Obama had a scandal, right, where he did the SNC-Lavalin thing, right, at least it got into the public consciousness. SNC-Lavalin didn't get into the public consciousness. The social battles, even the conservatives are afraid to fight them because they're looking at poll datas, right? We saw the case in Texas of the 7-year-old going to be transitioned, but that's coming to Canada soon. The media didn't cover Jessica Yaniv at all. So I want to start an independent news channel, sort of here, where I would want to be able to sort of do these CBC videos, because I still have to, work part-time to finance this, but I want to be able to do this every day, where either during the day I can make a video monitoring the CBC, make fun of them, and sort of cut that down, and then instead of the Wednesday night show, have a sort of Monday to Friday where we do 1 hour every day on Canadian news and culture, so we can at least get these ideas into the mainstream. Because if we don't get these ideas into the Canadian public, again, the Conservatives rely on flawed polling data, and it means we're not going to be able to get the Conservative Party to be conservative unless we can get the conservative Canadians to articulate their points in the public sphere, and we just don't have that now. So, I mean, if I'm going to rate this on the Rosemary Barden scale, it gets an NA. Like bias, it wasn't even bias. It was just bad and boring. It didn't cover any news. Yeah, there was some ISIS propaganda in there, but that's expected of it. And like, why do we need the CBC to be ISIS propaganda? Like, we have Al Jazeera to do that. But CBC and Al Jazeera in bed. I'll post a link to show you just how in bed the two are. But this today really outlined the need for one, defunding the CBC, because it is working in the best interests of ISIS. Right? Any institution that in Canada that thinks more highly of ISIS and their austere religious leader than Donald Trump is severely flawed, and two, the need for a real media and outside of this. So I'm gonna ask, please, if you want to donate to the page, be much appreciated. I'm gonna push that a bit more because I want to be able to hopefully bring other people on and create something like, I don't know, like the Daily Wire for Canada, where we can work together. We can actually get our shows into the culture. We can actually fight these battles because the Conservatives aren't fighting them for us. And, you know, I think True North News does a great job, but they're journalists. They're not really culture people. So I think there's a need for conservative culture in the mainstream, and I'm going to try and fill it. And hopefully I can rally some troops around me. So if you like what I do, I'm going to ask you, please click the Patreon link, and hopefully we can, get Trudeau out in the next 3 to 4 years.